How to implement infinite scrolling functionality for web applications. We will see a live demo, live coding on how to implement infinite scrolling using Vanilla JS, and also we'll see a live coding how to implement infinite scrolling using Angular framework. What is infinite scrolling? This will be the final output of our project. The output of both the programs will be the same. The implementation will be different. So this will be the final output of both the programs. What is infinite scrolling? Infinite scrolling is the most appealing version of pagination concept. Let's go to google.com. Let's search something. Okay. If we scroll down, we can see the pagination here. So we have to change the pages one by one. So this is the traditional pagination functionality. In case of infinite scrolling, the data will be loaded when it reaches a specific place. For example, in case of our implementation, the final output, we are loading a specific number of elements. Once the scroll bar reaches the end of the element, we will load the next number of items. It can be 10, it can be 5. So you can see the API is getting hit once we reach the end of the element. Right now we are at page 2 and we have a limit of 5. And when the scroll bar reaches the end of the element, the next API will get hit. Next API is page 3, limit 5. If we reach the end of the element, it will be page 4, limit 5. Yeah. Until all the elements are all the data is returned by the API. API will be getting hit and will load the response in this page. And unlike pagination, wherein we have to load each and every page, like we have to, if we click page 3, it will again go to server and the response will be rendered. In case of infinite scrolling, the response will be present. The previous responses will be present in the browser itself. Like you can, if you scroll up, you can see the details, rendered content. So this is one advantage in having infinite scrolling. But this may not be applicable to every use cases, but um, we have to determine where this is useful and where this is not useful. Currently, we have this API. This API is developed by me. It's implemented using Node.js and MongoDB. We will discuss more on that after some time. So this will be the final output, which we will be implementing using Vanilla JS and Angular framework. This is like a two-part series. So this is part one. So what is the plan? We will have three programs. We'll have two front-end project and one back-end project. The two front-end projects will be implemented live. The backend project is already developed by me and the source code is available in GitLab. For this demo, I will just run the backend project and expose the API that has pagination logics. So the source code is available in this PPT. You can find the link of this PPT in this uh, content video itself. So if you go to this GitHub repository, you can download the source code and you can run the source code. The backend project has two APIs. HTTP, one API is HTTP GET and another is HTTP POST. POST is used to insert data into database. So these are the data that will be inserted into database and we'll use the same data in front end, like name, continent and description. And the GET request pagination logic is implemented in this GET request. So if we pass the page and limit, data will be returned accordingly. So the response of this get method is It will have these properties: content, page, that is sent in request, limit that is sent in request, and total records of the collection. Total records present for this filter in database, not the page and limit filter, but the entire data set. Total pages is total records divided by limit. So 6 will be the total number of pages. Total current records will be the API, will be the number of records returned, present in this content. So this is the API response that we will make use of in the front end. We'll be consuming only one API in our projects, front end projects, which is the GET request. Our plan is to implement two front end projects and have one backend project running in the backend server. The backend project is implemented using Node.js and MongoDB. We need Node.js and MongoDB in our local if you want to run this backend project. I will give you a quick walkthrough on how it is implemented. So this is a backend project. It will have an index file and it imports app main. Here we are using body parser to parse a post request and CORS so that this APIs are accessible through cross domain. And we have two APIs here, and we have a separate file in which we are configuring MongoDB connections. So the only input we have to give here is the MongoDB connection string. Here we have a model, country schema, and here we have name, continent, and description. So these three properties will be returned to the front end. And we have a controller, insert countries and get countries. Insert countries is used to insert country actually. So it is used to insert country detail into the database. Get countries, here we have implemented the pagination logic. It will return details to the front end based on the page, current page number, and limit. This is a short overview of the backend project. In order to run the backend project, you can just run the index.js file. If you have proper MongoDB setup, you have to see this message, MongoDB connection success. And coming back to our slide, we'll be implementing two front-end programs. In this video, we will see how to implement infinite scrolling functionality using Vanilla.js. In the next part, next video, we'll see how to implement infinite scrolling functionality using AngularJS. So the main values that is required to implement infinite scrolling functionality is scroll height, top, and client height. We need to get values of these three properties of an element. Let's see what is scroll height, scroll top, and client height. If we go to our final output, I'll refresh the page. Here you can see the content that is visible to our eye. The height of this element is the client height. Scroll top is the scroll top initially will be 0 because we have not scrolled the element yet. It indicates the position of the scroll bar. If we start scrolling, then the value of scroll top will keep on increasing. So since the scroll bar is moving, the value of scroll top will be increasing accordingly. And the scroll height is the value of the entire element, which includes the height of the element that is visible to our eye and also the remaining area that is visible on scroll. In order to implement infinite scrolling, it requires a formula. The formula is to identify has if the scroll bar has reached the end of the element. So how to identify if the scroll bar has reached the end of the element? That is the question. So we can identify it using this formula. Scroll height, scroll position is equal to scroll height minus scroll top plus client height. Let's implement the first project, which is implementing infinite scrolling functionality using vanilla JS. This is our final output. This will be the items will be the element which is scrollable. The details written by the API has to be appended to this items element. If you take a look at our final output, here you can see country name and country description. So we have to insert country name and country description into the items element. Basically, we need to create two div tags for each element written by the API. Let's proceed with the implementation. So in order to invoke the get API, we'll use Axios library. We'll make use of the CDN. This is the element that will be scrollable, so we have to add scroll event listener to this element. We'll add an ID attribute as well. We'll add an event listener. So this event will be triggered whenever we are scrolling this element. Let's add a log. And currently, since we don't have any elements inside items element, there will not be any scroll bar. So this event will not be invoked. Let's implement the API to fetch records from database. If we go back to our slide, here you can see the API that is exposed by the backend project. You can make use of the same URL. I have added the data dump required that I'm using for this demo. The dump can be found in dump.json. So you can just import this into your MongoDB database and start using it. So here we have page and limit. Let me add page and limit to a separate variable. I will use string literal notation. This is our URL. So our page will keep on changing whenever we are scrolling. Our scroll has reached the end of the element until all the records are returned from the database. So we need to accept page as an input. There are different ways to identify the limit of a page of an element. Currently, we are just on hard coding the limit. It can be 5, it can be 10. We can also determine the limit by calculating the by coming up with our own logic on how many elements can be displayed in a particular element, and then we can specify the limit. But for this demo, we will just hard code the limit. Since we have added our Axios library, we will have the Axios object here, and I will invoke the API. This response object will contain the response returned by the API. Let's use the live server that is available in VS Code. So currently our output is our HTML template has countries. It's displayed in the output. Let's check if our API is getting invoked or not. We have not called our function anywhere. So let's call our function on page load with page number 1. We can see our API is getting invoked once on page load. Let's check it again. So here our API is getting invoked once on page load, and page number is 1 since we are passing 1 as page number. And in our console we can see the response. So we have to work with this response. We will create the item element dynamically. We'll make use of the document.create API in JavaScript to create elements dynamically. We'll pass the content value into this create element function. Response.content will hold all the records returned from the API. So in order to get this form of output, let's go to the inspect element. So here you can see we have an items element, and inside that we have item element, and inside item we have two div tags. So we need to create these three elements for every record that is returned from the API. Let's do that. So we have received element at a specific index here. Let's create a div tag. We need three elements. And div title will hold the name of the country, and div content will hold the description of the country. We'll add a class name as description. and we'll have a class name for title as title. We'll add the class name for the outer div as item. And finally, we'll append div title and div content into the outer div. And finally, we have to append div out to our items div. Let's refresh our page. This is our final output. This is our current page. So here you can see the output of our API getting rendered in this page. We will be able to see 5 items here because we have 5 results in this content object. Let's add CSS to this result. I will add a style tag, and we have a container class, we have h1 tag, and we have items class, and we also have item class, title class, and description class. We'll add styles for all these classes. Let's align h1 to center. Let's add height and width to our scrollable element. In order to make the element scrollable, we need to add overflow ys scroll. So currently we are able to view only this many elements, this much content based on the height that we have specified in the CSS. So we have specified height as 50 VH viewport height. So we are able to view only this much of content. Let's increase our width and height. So, and let's center our content. Let's also add CSS to our item element. Let's add CSS to our title class. We have added styles to our content here. Here you can see that elements are getting events are getting triggered on scroll. The scroll bar has reached the end of the element, but we don't have any logic to invoke the API. We need to make use of this formula to identify if the scroll bar has reached the end of the element. We need to get the values of scroll height, scroll top, and client height of this scrollable element. Let's proceed with implementation. Now our objective is to identify if the scroll bar has reached the end of the element, and if it has reached, we have to invoke the API with the next page. We have to write the logic in this function. The event object will hold the reference to the element that is scrollable. If we print event.target, it will return the target object. So this is the target object. We have to identify scroll height client height and scroll top of this element. Let's print the values to see the output. On scroll, we can see the scroll height as 1950. So it indicates the value of the height of the entire element. So on scroll, you can see scroll top is getting increased. It indicates the position of the scroll bar. So once it reaches the position of the scroll bar reaches end of the element, it will not increase anymore. If we are scrolling backwards, it will decrease. So scroll height and client height remains fixed. Scroll top is the only value that will change on scroll. Client height is the value of the height of the element, height that is visible, height of this element. Okay, so if the scroll bar reaches the end of the element, the values of scroll top and client height, if you add both the values, it will give the value 1950, and 1950 is also the value of scroll height. If we subtract scroll height and scroll top plus client height, the value will be 0, and if the value is 0, that means it's time to invoke the API with the next page number. Let's implement this logic. I have added this formula in PPT as well. If scroll position is 0, then it's time to invoke the next page. In order to maintain the value of the current page number, we need to have a global variable. Here we have to increment the page. Now let's refresh our page and see the results. Let me comment the console logs. Let's scroll. Now you can see when the cursor reaches the end of the element, our next API with page 2 is getting invoked. And the response contains content, page 2, number of records 5, total records 28, total pages is 6. So let's keep on scrolling. Next page has been invoked, and page 4, 5, 6. So we have total of 6 pages as you see in this API, and even here you can see. But what happens when we come to end of page 6? It invokes page 7. So we have to handle this scenario as well. But if you see the results of page 7, it will be total records will be 0, but still the API will be invoked. Even if you go up and scroll down, it will hit the next page, but the results will be zero. It will not affect the output. It will result in one unnecessary API call. In order to avoid it, we have to compare the current page is lesser than total pages. So let's implement that logic as well. So here we need to check if total pages is always greater than current page. If only this is true, we have to invoke the API of page 2. So how to identify how from where do we get total pages, value of total pages? First we need to declare total pages as a global variable, and then we can assign the value returned from the response object. So this response object will hold the value of total pages. You can also make use of closures to avoid these variables getting set in the global scope. But for this demo, we will just follow this approach. Now this condition will enable the scrolling logic to invoke the API function up to the page 6. So if the current page is lesser than total pages. So let's check the output. Page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there will be no more API triggers because our total pages will be our current page has to be lesser than total pages. So when we try to scroll down again and again, it will look for the condition will fail, so our API will not get invoked. I will add the source code of this program in the slide as well. You can take the source code of this program from my Git repo. I'll add it in this page, in this slide. Until now, we have seen how to implement infinite scrolling functionality using Vanilla.js. In the next part, we'll see how to implement infinite scrolling functionality using Angular framework.